A forensic look at the current DAPOL Stanier Suburban coaches and the reality of aging heritage tooling. Drawing on 33 years of industrial experience, I examine why these models are struggling to hold their tolerances today. In the DAPOL Stanier Suburban coaches, we are looking at heritage tooling with a lineage going back to Airfix in the late 1970s. For nearly 50 years, this steel has been cycled through various owners and thousands of injection presses. While DAPOL has done an admirable job keeping these coaches visually relevant, we need to talk about the industrial reality of aging assets. I purchased two of these in August 2025 and was genuinely pleased. The paint finish was excellent and my review score of 23 out of 25 reflected that. However, a third coach recently arrived from a different retailer and the experience was a total failure of quality control. Once unpacked, the coach literally fell out of the box in bits. The coupling hooks, the NEM socket caps, a detached bogie, the securing pin and even an axle were all rolling around loose. While I recovered the parts, the underlying issues were glaring. The damaged axle pin slots and the NEM caps showed significant splaying. Now, before I retired, I spent 33 years in the professional world. I started at the very bottom at 16, literally sweeping the warehouse floor. 18 years of those were spent working for major manufacturers, 10 years in the central belt of Scotland, 3 years for a major American Fortune 500 company, and 5 years finishing at VP level for an Anglo-American LSE-listed manufacturer. Eventually, I owned my own company and I sold it to a large US organization. As an executive for the last 20 years of my career, I traveled the world. I spent a lot of time in places like Hong Kong. In fact, I still have my tailor there that I used for years. But those travels gave me a unique look at the global supply chain. I'm very familiar with aggressive environments. I've sold products designed for submersion in the North Sea, the hottest deserts in the world, and the frozen reaches of Siberia. I've seen the labs where accelerated testing is done to see how materials fail under pressure and know exactly what happens when tooling reaches the end of its viable economic life. I also know that showing internal tooling is usually a sensitive subject. Since DAPOL shared these images on their own website, they are in the public domain. And they tell the whole story. If we look at the primary chassis mold, image 1, we can see a new heart. A polished center insert, likely added to keep the line sharp. But as any plant manager would tell you, a new insert is only as good as the bolster holding it. Look at the surrounding steel. It is dark, pitted and shop worn. If that outer frame has even a fraction of a millimetre of play, the precision of the new center is lost. The smoking gun is in the small parts cavities, image 2. The steel is heavily oxidized and the shut-off faces have lost their razor-sharp edges. There is a piece of industry lore, allegedly, that explains this decay. During the transitions between the owners in the mid-1980s, much of the range was reportedly stored outdoors at the Hong Kong and Kowloon Wharf. Looking at this image, I can see an industrial horror story. Having walked these streets, I know the humidity and salt air of that wharf. To give you an idea of the aggression, look at the RMS Queen Elizabeth wreck in Victoria Harbour. Things rust quickly in Hong Kong. As the data shows, salt-laden coastal air can cause steel to corrode 10 times faster than normal air. That pitting and oxidization we see today on the tooling may be the permanent legacy of that storage. It's why the mold no longer seals, and why the parts today have lost their structural resolve. The plastic has lost its memory. We are witnessing the physical limits of an industrial asset. I'll be honest, DAPOL is actually one of my favourite manufacturers, but I can't remain silent on a 66% defect rate. I have the skills to repair this coach, but not everyone has the dexterity or the vision to do that. Early in my career, my first boss gave me a piece of advice that stayed with me for decades. Whenever I brought him a problem, he'd say, "Go back to your office, don't just bring me a problem, bring me the solution." He was preparing me for leadership. But while I could suggest how to rescue this model, I don't have DAPOL's financials in front of me, so I will decline to offer a fix. That is DAPOL's job. I want to leave you with one final thought. The last time I saw my old boss, we were on the golf course. He was retired, enjoying his freedom, and we spent the afternoon laughing and joking about the years we spent building an empire. Looking back on all the years I worked for him, through every manufacturing or sales crisis, I realised something remarkable. He never swore once. I remember one particular stock take, my most hated time of the year, where he actually dropped a heavy box right on his own toe. We all held our breath, but even then, he didn't let a single word slip. He was a man of immense discipline who taught me that you don't need volume or vitriol to solve a problem, you just need a solution. I'm applying that same discipline here today. I'm not shouting at DAPOL, and I'm not swearing about a broken model. I'm simply reporting the facts of the steel and the plastic, just as he taught me to do. It's over to DAPOL now to find the solution. I'm retired. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.